Welcome to the Blue Collar Baddies podcast. This is episode number 41. This episode is sponsored by Blue Collar Grind, badass coffee for hardworking people. I'll leave a link in the description if you want to go check it out. Today we're here with Thaleia. Tell me what you do.
So I am a rig welder.
Cool.
So I weld. I move around a lot, kind of just chasing it. So right now I'm in a pretty small town. The work normally happens to be in like places that not pretty places.
Yeah.
So I'm in a tiny town right now out in the middle of nowhere. I think it's like population of 800 people.
Dang.
Which I just now kind of noticed that I happen to be in a lot of those tiny towns like that.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no, so right now I'm out in West Texas. Found a pretty good job. So
Nice.
Yeah, the last year, most of my work I've done up north, Wyoming, Montana, North Dakota. Just a couple months ago, I was up in Oregon for a while.
Dang.
Yeah.
So they just send you everywhere? Is it the same company?
No. I kind of just, I'll find a job and go test.
Gotcha.
Work there, and then once it's over, where to next? Or if I get bored, or if someone pisses me off, not just kidding. If I'm tired of seeing the same faces every day, then I'll kind of pack up and go. But
Gotcha. Well, how'd you get started?
So I was in high school and wanted to go to college. No one in my family welds.
Yeah.
I'm from a small town. No oil field. I'd never seen a rig welder or a welding machine. None of that.
That's crazy.
And so I was working. I went to college. COVID hit. Things weren't going well. I ended up dropping out.
Yeah.
And I got a job for the bus company in the town where I grew up. And I went in as like a hostler, got my CDL, was working there. COVID was still going on. And I did it for like 2 years. I made pretty good money. I was 18, living in my little camper, my little shit box I got off of Facebook Marketplace. And I was making pretty good money. But I was getting tired of the same thing every day.
Right.
And so one day, one of the diesel mechanics was there. He was like, "Hey, Talia, like, why don't you weld? Like, they get to travel around and make good money." And I was sold.
Yeah.
I was like, deal, I was already tired of what I was doing. I was like, let's do it.
Right.
And so that same night, I just, I looked up welder jobs and I was like, yeah, that looks like fun. And I had already been like out of the town. I was always, I love my hometown, but I was always kind of going different places and traveling. And, so I knew I wanted to leave. Mm-hmm. And I applied to a bunch of welding jobs. And I had zero experience. I'd never welded a day in my life.
That's wild.
Didn't know what like a rod or a stinger, none of that. And I applied to a bunch of jobs and I said, whichever one calls me first, and that's where I'm going to go. And so the next day, I ended up getting a call from a shop out in Wyoming.
Dang.
And they were like, "Hey, can you be out here Saturday for an interview?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." So I went home, and it was just me at the time. Mm-hmm. And I went home, and I sold a bunch of stuff, got rid of a bunch of stuff, threw away a bunch of stuff, and packed up, and I moved to Wyoming. Had that interview. And it's actually super funny, because I had never welded. And this lady was like, like what we do. So she was in charge of that shop. Mm-hmm. She was like, "Hey, like what?" I was like, "Oh, I've done like a little bit here and there." And she was like, "You know what, like go to the back and run a little bit for me." I go back there and there's this welding machine sitting there. This thing looks ancient.
Yeah.
And I had no idea how to set it up, how to turn it on.
Right.
And I was like, I've seen a couple YouTube videos, like it can't be that bad. And so thankfully some of the other guys that were working there, I was like, I have no idea what this is. And so one of the guys walked over, helped me set up the machine, and he was like, "Have you ran this?" "No, but I really need this job."
That's funny.
So, and he was like, "Oh, just, go and just push in and it'll run itself." I was like, "Sweet." Sounds like a plan. And so I remember I had like, it was just like normal butt welds. And and like my first ones were a little rough, and I was like over there trying to hide them.
Yeah.
Like let me do two more, and so I did two, and the lady came out and she was like, "Oh, like looks good, like you're hired." And so
oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so thank goodness, I was hired.
That's wild.
And but my very first welding job, before that job I was in my hometown as a diesel tech, I was 18, 19, and I was making really good money.
Yeah.
Really good money. Because of COVID, I was getting that hazard pay.
Oh, right.
I was working graveyard shift, so there was an incentive because of that.
Dang.
And then we were understaffed like crazy.
Yeah.
You know, so they were like, hey, you can put in however many overtime hours. So I was putting in the overtime, so I was making really good money.
Holy cow.
So I went from that and then the shop job with like no experience. I had no idea, you know, I'm just hoping for the best. And so I went from making like around $40 an hour down to, I think they hired me on at like 16.
Dang.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah. And so that was a hit.
Yeah.
But it was just me. You know, I didn't really have any bills other than, you know, my truck.
Right.
And thankfully, you know, I had some money saved up. And so I was like, and I was ready to do something different, you know. I was like, I don't want to be in a shop and, you know, work on buses and diesel tech. I got a lot of things from that job. You know, I got my CDL. They paid for me to get my CDL.
Nice.
I know I learned some things.
Right.
But I was ready for something different, you know.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm young, dude. I could live off of ramen and beans,
Yeah.
you know. Like, if worst comes to worst, you know, I got a cardboard box I can live in, and you know, like I can live off of 30-cent ramen or whatever. And so I took it. I was like, yeah, you know, I'll take the $16 an hour. Well, a week later, you know, and I didn't know anything, you know, but I'm gonna try, right? I'm gonna give it my all. I'm gonna try, and you're gonna tell me, and I'm gonna do my best.
Right.
And so a week later, they ended up giving me a raise. Thank you for that raise. I did not live off of ramen for long. But, yeah, so they bumped me up to like 18. And I was like, okay, you know, I'm making more than a McDonald's employee now. Okay, we're good. And so, yeah, so I was at that shop. I started off running, like, I remember my first day I went in and I was like, they're like, okay, I need you to do this, fix this. There was a trailer in the shop. They're like, hey, we need you to fix it. And I'm like,
okay.
I was like, oh, you're going to be a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
And so the guy was like, have you ever done this? And I was like, no. And so, you know, he ends up showing me, and I was just, you know, fixing his trailer, whatever. And so I ended up with that, just running MIG. Then after that, I did some flux core. And then I started running jet rod 7024, building like big tanks and vessels. That's when I started to learn about this whole oil field life.
Oh, yeah.
And that same company had rig welders.
Okay.
And there were some you know, I was there for about a year. And one of the rig welders, sometimes they'd be like, hey, like, we don't have a helper. Like, ask your supervisor or your foreman if you can come out and be my helper.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, you know, like, let's go. And so that's how I started to get into pipe and rig welding. And, like, you know, during lunch, like, hey, Thaleia, you want to weld? Heck yeah, you know? Something I've never done. Like, I'll try it.
Right.
And very thankful for the good people, you know, I've met along the way, because, you know, I learned a lot from them.
Yeah. Well, and it can change your whole career path if you're not around the right people.
Yeah. And so I started to learn pipe from them. And then I was at this shop for like a year and a half around there, I want to say. And I was like, I'm ready for something else, you know. I was making like $20 an hour, I think I would say. I was capped at 22. No, not much. And there was another company, and I was like, oh, like, they're making good money, and they're looking for pipe welders in a shop. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna do it. And so I went and I tested, and I got the job.
Hell yeah.
You know, I had never, like, flanges, fittings, 90s, no clue. You know, all I'd done was just like a pup on a rollout wheel, you know, and the welder would be like, oh, try it. Okay, sweet, you know, and like I'd practice like beads and all this. And so I got the job. And so I quit this job, went to this other shop, and I was there for about, I want to say, another year and a half, maybe 2 years.
Yeah.
When you work every day, time just kind of.
Right.
And so I went to the shop and I started prefabbing. You know, that's when I started to get into like flanges and fittings and actually like measuring and, you know, and so I was there, and this company had rig welders as well, but they were single hand. And so again, I started going out with one of the welders, Zach Bostick. Super cool. I learned a lot from him too, but started going out doing jobs with him. Yeah. And then they need another rig welder. So they're like, hey, Thaleia, like, we're going to send you out. Yeah. I remember the first time, they're going to send me out? They're like, yeah, we're going to send you out. You can do it, you know? I was like, oh, I was so scared. I was so nervous. I was like 21 or something. And I was like, oh my goodness. And so they sent me out, and and then I was just running a truck for this company too. That's when I started to get into drilling rigs. I started going out, doing a bunch of drilling rig work. Learned a ton, met a bunch of great people. It's a funny story, it's always life, life and its adventures. But so that's how I got into it. And then I wanted to break out, and I wanted my own truck.
Yeah.
And I was in a pretty bad situation relationship wise, and one of my friends called me one day out of the blue. He was like, "Hey, I'm down in Texas." I was in Wyoming at the time. I was like, "Hey, I'm down in Texas. I need a helper. Are you working?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'll go."
Yeah.
I was already, I'd learned a lot in this job, and I was like, "But I'm ready for the next thing."
For sure.
And he was like, I was like, "Yeah, well, when do you need me here?" He was like, "Oh, next week." Well, later that day he calls. He's like, "Hey, I actually need you here in 2 or 3 days."
Damn.
At the time, I had like a 2-bedroom, 2-floor townhome. I was living in a townhome.
Oh shit.
I had just bought a property in Wyoming that I was renting out. I had 2 motorcycles. I had a bunch of stuff to pack up. And so I drove to Montana, picked up a horse trailer. I picked up a 42-foot horse trailer with living quarters because I was like, I need how to move all this.
Yeah.
And I drove to Montana, picked up a horse trailer, and I'm so glad, I had this horse trailer to load everything up. And it was me moving all this stuff that has accumulated, in the last year and a half or year or whatever. Let me tell you, the next day, I had muscles hurting that I didn't even know I had.
I bet.
I remember sitting there driving and just, sore from packing all this. But I was like, I'm out, I'm over Wyoming. I want to move. I'm on to the next thing. So I ended up leaving Wyoming. I got to my home base. I'm originally from Colorado.
Oh, okay.
So I got my home base, and I went to pick up that old camper I was living in.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was like, hopefully everything works on it, because I got to be down in Texas tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so, went to Colorado, dropped off the horse trailer, a bunch of my stuff, picked up my camper, hoping everything works, and I drove to Texas. And my buddy at the time, he was having some trouble. He wasn't even there. Thankfully, there's another welder that needed a helper that I had met before in Wyoming. So everything kind of worked out super great.
Yeah.
Started, working with them. Well, 2 weeks later, they're like, "Hey, we need some welders up in Colorado." I was like, I just drove
Oh my god.
from Wyoming to Texas. Now y'all are sending me back up to Colorado. And so that welder and I, I'd already done some stainless before. And so that welder and I, we ended up going up to Colorado. I was his helper for 2 weeks. And then I bought my first machine and I broke out.
Dang.
Yeah, I broke out and I started welding. And I had that machine. See, here's another thing. No matter how much money you make or work, be good with money.
Yeah.
You have to, it doesn't matter how much money. If you're making $30,000 a month and you do not know how to take care of those $30,000, it's going to do you no good.
For sure. You'll be in the same boat as everybody else.
Yep. You got to learn to, stay within your means and manage your money. And so I spent, I think it was $12,000 on my first welding machine.
Yeah.
And I broke out, welded with it for a week, and it broke down on me.
Oh, no.
And so at that point, I had 2, I was in Colorado, it broke down on me. I had 2 options.
Yeah.
Either I go back down to being a helper, or I find another machine.
Right.
And so I was in Colorado. It's not, the area I was in wasn't big oil field, so I get on Marketplace. And I had already lost a week of work, trying to figure out what was wrong with my machine.
Right.
Getting parts. I'm spending money. I'm not making any money because I'm not working, and I'm having to spend money to get this machine fixed.
Jeez.
Thankfully, I've always been pretty good with my money. I had money set aside, so there was 2 machines within a 6-hour radius of me.
Dang.
One of them was a 200, completely beat up, and the other one was a machine I currently run on my truck. And so thankfully I had the money to go buy this other machine to get back to work. And so I ended up sending my first machine off to BW Parts out in Phoenix, Arizona to figure out what was wrong with it.
Yeah.
And I was able to get back to work, buy this other machine and get back to work.
Nice.
So money is important.
Yeah, for sure.
Be smart with your money. You never know when,
right.
things are going to hit the fan, but
especially when you have to run and maintenance your own equipment.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
See, and again, when it all adds up, right now I have I have a truck and I have, a machine.
Yeah.
I'm 10 hours over on my machine, you know, that's filters, that's oil change, you know, I have to maintenance my machine, and now my truck, you know, I have to maintenance my truck too, you know, like I just had to get tires on my truck, I got filters, I got fuel filters, you know, brakes, I have to do brakes on my truck, you know, so it's like all this stuff, like as a rig welder, you know, because a lot of people are like, oh, rig welders, they make good money. You make good money, but you gotta spend good money. Yeah. You know, just on my machines, that's like what, $25,000. I had to spend $25,000 I spent $25,000 in the span of a month.
Jeez.
Yeah, in the span of like 3 weeks. Yeah. I spent $25,000 on 2 machines.
That's crazy.
You know?
I mean, I'm in spray foam, and I don't own the business. My boyfriend does. Yeah. But they say the same thing about that. Like, oh, spray foamers make good money. Well, yeah, but you also have to spend money. You have to spend money. You know, and like now, every day, everything is going up in price. For sure. Everything's going up in price. Those little lenses we wear on our hood, you know, the guys that wear, back in the old good times, you know, back in the good times. They were like 50 cents a piece. Oh, dang. Now they're like $1.50 a piece. That's wild. If you're on the pipeline and you're hot passing, you're going through like 1 or 2 of those a day. Oh, dang. You know? Yeah, you know, you want to be able to see where you're welding, you know? Yeah, for sure. But, you know, everything's just going up in price, and it's crazy. So, yeah, no, we make good money. We spend money. A box of rods. A box of rods used to be $150, $200. I had to buy a box of rods. Don't go to Air Gas. Don't go to Air Gas, whatever you do. It's like $500 a rod. Jeez. Yep. But, you know, like, still, it was $400. Yeah. For a box of rod. That's you know? And all these tools, all our consumables are going up in price. Yeah. And our wages staying the same. Right. So, like, right now, I'm working 1099, which means I'm like a contractor. You know, they contract me out. And, I was talking about this with the guys the other day. Like, it's almost ain't worth it anymore. Yeah. It's better to work for a company and then provide, you know, because a box of rods is $400. You know, you can easily, if you're putting in the inches, like, you can easily go through a box of rods in a week. For sure. You know? And so, you know, there's a lot of stuff, you know, like maintenance on a vehicle. You know, when I was working single hand welding, doing the drilling rig work, I wasn't making, I think I was making 32 an hour, 34 an hour. Yeah. Which, you know, is pretty good. The truck wasn't mine, so I wasn't tires, no wear and tear, no maintenance, no filters, none of that. Machine wasn't mine either. The machine would break down. Hey, I need another machine on my truck. Sweet. Dang. You know, go to the shop, swap it out for another one, and I'm ready to go, you know? That's wild. You know, I think there's pros and cons to, like, a lot of it. Even, you know, even welding. I'm glad I found welding. Yeah. Now that I've done it, like, I went to college to be a veterinarian. That's what I always wanted to do. Dang. You know, and I was like, heck yeah, I love it. Well, ends up I'm really bad at, like, biology. You know, when I was in college, I was doing, I did Air Force, JROTC, ROTC, so I had some scholarships. But I moved out when I was really young. And so when COVID happened, everything was a mess. So even though I had these scholarships, I had to come up with the money and pay, and then they would refund me months later. Well, that didn't really help me because I had to pay to be there. So I was in college, and with COVID going on, I was working 2-3 jobs and trying to go to school. So because of that, I wasn't spending a lot of time studying. For sure. Because I had to pay, I had to work to be there. Yeah. And with COVID, COVID. So because of my scholarships, I had to stay in the dorms my first 2 years. And the college was paying students to stand in front of the dorm rooms, make sure no one was coming in or leaving. If one person tested positive, if one person out of the whole building tested positive, everyone was on shutdown. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it was crazy. And I had to work to be there. So what I was doing, my dorm was on the second floor. I was sneaking out of the window, climbing down the irrigation bricks on the side of the building because I had to get to work. Oh my god. You know? It was either I stay on shut and like lockdown. Yeah. Or I go to work and pay so that I can be in lockdown. Yeah. You know? Oh, lockdown's so great. You know, I gotta go work to be here. But yeah, so I was like sneaking in and out. That's wild. In order to go to work, because, you know, I wanted to be there. I wanted to finish school. Right. But I had to pay to be there. And I'd wait 6-8 months in order to be refunded, you know, but I still had to come up with the payment for my books, for everything. And so that was a mess. Yeah. And so I started doing oil changes. Oh. I was at a Walmart one day, you know, I was working at a restaurant serving,
and whatever. And I was at a Walmart parking lot one day, and there was a lady next to me. She was like, she was on the phone. She was like, I still have like a 6-hour drive, and my car really needs an oil change. Like, it was a Sunday and everything was closed. Oh. And I had done oil changes before, you know, and this lady, she was stressing out. She was like, I'm really trying to get to you. I don't know what to do. And I was like, hey, like, I'll do your oil change. She was like, what? I was like, yeah, you know? And so I had an old little Tundra at the time, and I was like, yeah, like, I'll do it, you know, don't worry, like, you're good.
Yeah.
And we went to Walmart, bought the filter, bought the oil. I was at the Walmart parking lot doing her oil change. Later that day, or the next day, I was with some friends, and I was telling them, like, yeah, just doing, you know, this happened yesterday. My friend was like, hey, actually, I need an oil change. Can you do it? I was like, yeah. Yeah. So that became like a little side gig in between classes, in the evenings. I was doing oil changes.
That's funny.
And then I found a ranch that I would go and like clean stalls and feed and do stuff like that, you know? Mm-hmm. So, and then I was working at another restaurant. So I was having, you know, like I was having to leave my dorm. So I was sneaking in and out to be able to work to be there. But,
that's wild. If they're going to hold you hostage like that, they should let you off the hook for your payment.
Well, see, but like a lot of the students that are there, like mom is paying, dad's paying, or, you know, they go, you know, so.
That's wild, though. I didn't know they could do that.
Yeah, I was on my own all throughout high school, you know, and I was always working. Like, I've always had 2-3 jobs. Yeah. Actually, I've been welding for about 3-4 years now, and I've only had one job. Welding has been my only job now for maybe just the last 8 months.
Oh, dang.
Yeah. Like, even when I was up in Wyoming, when I was, actually more like a year, when I was up in Wyoming, I was welding. When I was at this job at the I was welding, and I'd get home, change, and then I'd go to a restaurant, and I was serving in the evenings. Yeah, weekends, if I couldn't put OT at the welding shop, or, you know, if they didn't need me to go out to a drilling rig or whatever, I was working doubles.
That's wild.
Yeah, serving, you know, making money.
Yeah.
There's other reasons, you know, to that, but, you know, if I could, it was just, you know, by then I had my dog. It was just me and my dog, so.
Yeah. Makes sense.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
I was gonna make money.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What else are you gonna do with your dad?
Yeah. Sit at the couch, through my thumbs. No, but, yeah, no, so I was always kind of making money.
Mm-hmm. Well, so, a lot of girls have trouble finding clothes, especially, you have to wear FR, I assume.
Yeah.
So, have you found anything that works well?
So, I'm glad you asked. No, I'm just kidding. It is hard. Mm-hmm. I live in men's clothes. Yeah. First off, it's cheaper.
For sure.
Anything that's written for women or pink is gonna be about $20 more expensive, and that comes down to anything. For sure. Like, go to the store and look at like razors. Yeah. The blue ones will be like $1.99. You go to the pink ones, exact same brand, exact same razor, just because they're pink, $10.
It's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
I hate it.
And so I am actually, and then, you know, there's a lot. They are coming out with a lot of FR clothes for women. Yeah. But man, a lot of it is like,
right.
You know. Why? Because I guess that's what men want to see. Yeah. You know, like this. No, you know, man, I can't. No, thank you. Mm-hmm. No, thank you. Mm-hmm. And so I'm actually trying to get some shirts out. You know, that are cheaper, affordable. Yeah. You know, I'm not gonna pay.
For sure.
You know, a lot more, you know, so I'm cheap. I don't spend money. So I'm going to go buy the dude clothes. So, like, if you see all my videos and stuff, I'm always in, like, super baggy. Right. You know, but yeah, no, it's hard. I know I follow someone on TikTok, and, man, I wish I could remember, but she just came out with a line for women's work jeans. Cool. Yeah, I don't know if they're FR or not, but
is it the Western one or they're for construction?
I have no idea.
I follow a couple of them,
but they're like jeans and they're super cute. They're super cute, and I'm like, I've been eyeing them. I want to order a pair and check them out. Yeah. But no, like men's clothes is where, you know, you could go to Tractor Supply and get a pair of jeans. You know, if you don't have to wear FR, get a pair of work jeans for like $20-$30.
Yeah, for sure.
You know,
Atwood's has them on sale sometimes for like $9.
Yeah, it's definitely hard, but I'm working on some shirts that are, you know, not super snug and, you know, still give you that, like, I want to do like the little princess cut, you know, like cute, but yeah.
Yeah. What about like boots?
Boots, Brunt.
Yeah?
Brunt boots, yeah.
I love them.
Oh yeah, Cloud 9.
Yeah.
They're like, super soft and super comfortable. That's what I run. Brunts, no, Brunts have been good for me.
Yeah.
They're not crazy expensive.
Right.
They're good. I've had the current boots I wear, I've had them for about, I'd say like 4 or 5 months now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I've had mine for almost a year and a half, and they're still.
Oh really?
Good. Yeah.
Oh heck yeah. Yeah. No, because normally 6 months. 6 months is like my mark on shoes, on work boots. But I've had these Brunts for, I want to say maybe, about 5 months.
Yeah.
And they're good. I love them.
Hell yeah.
So shout out to Brunt.
Yeah. What's been the biggest struggle you faced so far, just being a woman on the job site?
Wives. No, just kidding. You know, I was actually on a job up north, and you know, it's always been super, like, I've always been super strict. You know, I don't date guys I work with. I don't, you know, like, I go to work and I go to work.
Yeah.
You know, just because I've seen all the drama, you know, I've heard how it goes, and I don't want anything to do with it. I got bills to pay.
Yeah.
I got things to see, but, you know, like, I don't want any part of it. And it's really hard to find other women out in the trades that are like a girl's girl. You know, many women out there, you know, unfortunately, like, they're there for the wrong reasons.
For sure.
And it's kind of like a competition.
Yeah.
Like, hey, I want all the attention, all eyes on me. I'm like, yeah, girl, you got it.
Yeah.
All eyes on you. You know, like, oh, that's all you. I don't care.
Funny.
You know, and but you know, I was on a job up in Oregon, and I'd been on this job for a while. Thankfully, you know, no repairs, no cutouts. I was good.
Yeah.
You know, anything that they had me to do, like, I could weld it. You know, I was good. And work started to slow down, and I wasn't normally, like, on jobs. If you're the last one hired, you're the first one. You know, it's just
how it goes.
It's just how it goes, you know. And I wasn't the last one that had been hired on, but the weld boss, his wife, his girlfriend, whatever, was his helper, and she did not like me. You know, I tried to be nice to her. You know, we'd get in the mornings, hey, good morning, girl. Hey, what's up?
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, and I wish I could be exaggerating, but like eye rolls and everything, and I'm just, you know, I'm just here to work.
That's terrible.
I'm here to make my money, and you know.
Yeah.
And I heard, you know, a couple things like she was going around saying about me, but I've always been super nice, you know, to everyone.
Yeah. I mean, girls like that are the reason, like, it makes all of us look bad.
It makes all of us look bad, you know? And so I've always, you know, as a welder, everyone, you know, operators, electricians, you know, we're all here just pay our bills, put food on the table.
Yeah.
And so I've always, you know, and I've worked with guys that are like, no, I'm a rig welder. I don't touch a tape measure. I don't do this, you know? Like, you know, like, I'm a rig welder. If you need me out there to go pick up trash, like, I'm going to do it, you know?
Right.
Why? Because I'm making the same money. It needs to be done, you know? And we're all here just to work. I'm going to help someone out, you know, if someone needs help.
For sure.
And so I always got along really well with the operators and the labor hands and everyone. And so I'd hear things, you know? And work started to slow down. And one of the operators, one of the other foremen, he was like, hey, you know, like, we're slowing down. And actually the project managers, the guys that are in charge of the whole job site, there were so many times where they'd come up to me. They're like, hey, girl, like, I've seen your welds. Like, keep it up. You know, you're doing really good.
Nice.
You know, and it felt good because I was a baby on this job.
Hell yeah.
I was, like, the youngest by, like, 10 years of everyone I worked with. Right. You know, I've always been the baby, and I was the only female welder.
Right.
Other than the weld boss's wife that was his helper. And, you know, like, I take pride in my work. Yeah, you know, like, I want my stuff to be good, and I don't have any repairs, any cutouts. And one day, I get a call from the weld boss. He's like, hey, I need you. You know, and the comments had already been.
Yeah.
And, you know, like, I rejected all of it. I was like, nah, you know, it's not going to happen. And so there was already a little bit of, you know, tension there. And I was the first one laid off.
Dang.
Yeah, he called me into the office. He was like, hey, like, we're going to lay you off. And I was like, really? Because I wasn't the last one hired. I don't have a single repair, not a single cutout.
Right.
And
that's crazy.
Yeah, and I was like, you know, okay, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh, I'm gonna go say bye to everyone, because at that point I'd been there for a couple months. You know, we were all friends. I'll go say bye to everyone. And I went and I told the project manager. He was like, hey, you know, dude, like I'm heading out. He was like, what do you mean? I was like, I just got laid off. You? I was like, yeah. He was like, I was like, no, like, it's okay, you know. And by then, like, I already made my money. Job was, I'm not gonna wait till, you know.
Yeah.
So I was like, no, like, you know, it's all good. I've done good. I know my work is good.
Yeah.
You know.
That's crazy.
And so I was the first one that laid off. Project manager was like, he went, like, started making phone calls. He was like, yeah, take my number. Like, I'm gonna get you a job. Like, where do you want to go? I was like, I'll go anywhere, you know.
Dang.
And super nice, you know, because they'd seen my work. They'd seen me work. They knew my welds.
Yeah.
I was good, you know. I wasn't out there causing problems or nothing. And but yeah, and so I was the first one laid off, and I started loading up my job box, my game box, everything. And the operators were like, Thaleia, we heard, like, what happened? Did you get in a fight or something? I was like, me? And they're like, yeah, you're right. You would never. I'm like, no. And one of the guys was like, you lost this job not because of your work, but because you're pretty. He was like, she didn't want you here anymore. And I was like, yeah, I know.
That's crazy.
You know, and so it's one thing for me to notice things and see it.
Right.
But when everyone else on the, you know
too.
Yeah, that's
I'm sure that she, like, the dynamic of the job site changed after that, because they probably all hated her.
yeah, because I was, you know, super cool with everyone.
Yeah.
But no, and I, you know, even today, that's it's been probably 6 months, 8 months since then, and they still call me every once in a while, like, hey, you know, where you at? We miss you. You know, how you been? You know, because, like, I don't know, you spend more time with the people you work with,
For sure.
than, you know, I mean, I don't have a family, but, like, you know, like your boyfriend or your husband, or, you know, and so I like to go to a job and I treat everyone with respect. You know, I'm here to work.
Yeah.
I'm going to be with you Monday through Saturday for 10, 12, 14 hours a day, you know? Might as well be buddies.
For sure.
You know? But, you know, a lot of the women, like, they just don't see it like that. But, yeah, I think that's kind of, like, the only thing. So, and I have yet to work with another, like, female rig welder.
Oh, yeah.
You know? I feel like I've met a couple. I haven't worked with them, but I've met a couple through, like, social media, and I feel like they have, like, the different mentality. You know? It's when they're helpers that they find it.
Yeah.
I don't know why they see, like, helpers, you know, see the welders as, like, a threat or something.
I don't know. Maybe they just feel like they're trying so hard to prove themselves and they can't really, you know, go any farther than where they're at. So.
You know, but they can.
Yeah.
You know, like, right now, the company I work for, there's one of the girls, and she, I love her.
Yeah.
She's super young. She's 18. Great girl, you know. And she's a labor hand right now. And one day she told me, she was like, hey, I want to learn to weld. I was like, sweet, girl. Come on, let's go.
Yeah.
Like, you know where I live. You know, show up whenever in the evenings and we'll get to welding. She's like, but I don't have a machine. I was like, there's a machine on my truck, girl. You tell me when and we'll weld. You know, I'll teach you.
Yeah.
You know, so, like, these girls that are helpers, and instead of, like, being mean.
Yeah, for sure.
Girl, if you want to learn, like, let's go, you know, or let's go get our nails done.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, you know, I've never understood that, but... No, and I feel like a lot of it is, I don't know what a lot of it is. I honestly don't know, but
it's wild, and it's sad that it has to be that way.
It is.
Let's band together, because, you know, like you said, there's not a lot of them.
Yeah, you know, exactly. There's not a lot of us, and, you know, it's not easy.
Yeah.
You see some of these guys struggle.
Right.
It's always funny to me, because sometimes I get out of work and I'm tired. I'm like, man, some of these guys are tired.
Yeah.
I'm tired.
Yeah.
You know what? I mean, it's not easy. And, you know, honestly, like, each other, it's all we have. So,
Sure.
teach each other, like, the tricks, you know? Like, I did a video not long ago about just, like, physical strength, you know? I can go to the gym, and I'll never have, like, the strength of, like, some of the guys I work with that don't go to the gym and don't, you know?
Yeah.
And so, like, there's a lot of these, like, tricks, you know, to, like, how to get this...
Leverage.
Yeah, you know? Like, it's not always about, like, physical strength. Like, use your tools, use your jack stand, like, you know, here's your truck. I was on a job up in Montana one day, and I couldn't pull. I was fixing some handrails. Someone had ran them over, and they were bent. And I'm like, man, I don't have the strength. And so I got to come along.
Oh, yeah.
And I put it to my truck, and I'm over there backing my truck up to get this thing pulled. You know, like, use what you have, because...
For sure. Yeah. It took me, like, a full 2 years, probably, to learn how to move a 55-gallon drum. Uh-huh. Because Joey kept showing me he would just, like, pull it and roll it. And I couldn't physically, like... Yeah. I don't have enough ass to do that. Yeah.
Lean it back.
Finally had to figure out that I push it, and like it works now.
Yeah. See, it's small stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like the other day, one of the guys showed me. He was like, "Thaleia, like, why are you struggling?" I was like, "Cause I don't know how else to do it."
Yeah.
He was like, "Try this." I was like, "Where has this been all my life?"
Right.
You know, and it's like some of like the smallest things that like in the moment, like you don't think about it, but like if there's someone watching you or you have another girl, will be like, "Hey, like try this," or maybe this will work for you. You know,
for
then
sure.
Get it, but. Yeah, so you just gotta watch other people. Yeah. Don't be a stalker, but just watch. Don't be creepy.
Yeah. Do you have any like embarrassing job site stories you want to talk about?
Embarrassing. Man, I don't think that word is even in my vocabulary anymore. I just it happened. You know, I feel like embarrassing and fear of failure is what stops a lot of people.
For sure. Yeah.
Something funny happens, laugh about it. It's a funny story later, you know? It's just, I don't worry about, and I think that's a big thing too, you know? Don't worry about not doing it right, you know?
Well, that mentality probably is what drove you in the first place to apply for the job that you had no idea what you were doing.
I had no idea what I was doing. You want me to weld? Wait, that's what I applied for?
Yeah.
You know, it's just... Life is just so short. For like, sure. I think about, I just turned 24. I just turned 24. And, you know, I look at other people, you know, my age. Yeah. And, you know, they're like, hey, like, all right, talk to people, you know, to start to telling stories. And they're like, you're only 24?
Yeah.
And I was like how have you done so much? Or why have you done so much? You know, it's just like, just go do it. Yeah. You know, if you want to start welding, go do it. Yeah. You know, like it doesn't work out. Sweet. You tried it. You know, it's not for you. Didn't try out. On to the next thing. Yeah. You know, if I think about it a lot, if I wouldn't have just applied and moved, I'd probably still be in my hometown, probably married to the guy I was dating throughout high school with some kids. Right. Doing what? I have no idea. No idea. That's funny. So, yeah, like... And, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I do, you know, I do get scared. I do get nervous. Yeah. Every time a job's coming to an end, and I'm like, well, you know, what if I go test and I don't pass a test or whatever? And, you know, I mean, honestly, I feel like I don't have a lot of pressure. I don't have kids. Right. You know, I don't have a boyfriend. It's just me and my dog. Yeah. You know, if, like, when I got laid off that job in Oregon, things were super slow in the industry. Super slow. And I couldn't find a job. So I took a month and a half off vacation. Dang. You know, before that, it had been 3 years since I had taken any time off. I was working 7 days a week at the restaurant, you know, welding. Yeah. And so I got laid off and I was like, and it's super funny, you know, because the night before I got laid off, I got a memories on my Snapchat from the last vacation I took 3 years prior. I went to Puerto Rico. Dang. One day I just bought my flights and I went to Puerto Rico. And it's funny because the night before I had reshared a memory and I was like, man, I haven't had a vacation in a long time. And I reshared it and I was like, I think it's time for a vacation. You know?
There it is.
Exactly. There it is. There's a vacation. Thank you, Lord. Yeah. I got my vacation, you know, and I took a month and a half off and, you know, I loaded up my dog and ended up on the west coast of Oregon. One day, woke up in Canada.
Oh my gosh.
You know, like we were just...
That's wild.
You know, like, you know, my dog and I, we were going to eat sandwiches and, you know, stuff we found, sleep in the truck. And I wanted to go see things. So we just got on the truck and drove around.
Hell yeah. Most people don't have the guts to just do that.
And I'm not going to lie, I was terrified.
Yeah.
I could have done a little bit of planning on my part. I ended up going to Canada. Didn't really think. I had no phone service and like $5 cash. And my cards weren't working. And it was a holiday weekend.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, I'll show you. We're going to hang out in this parking lot for a couple days until banks open up. Yeah. And I can get some phone calls and get some phone service.
That's wild.
But, you know, like, you know, so that month and a half, my dog and I just kind of went and explored and did some hikes, beautiful hikes. And
That's awesome.
yeah, but,
really
you know,
cool.
and I was still scared. I was still nervous, you know, when jobs end. I'm like, oh, I'm scared to go to this new town. I don't know anyone. Or what if things don't work out? One day at a time.
Yeah,
One day at a time.
Right.
You know, I can sit here and stress about all the
Everything.
things that can go wrong,
Yeah.
you know? And,
Never
and
ends.
you know, and now I think about it, you know, like certain fears I have, or like I start to get nervous, and you know, God takes care of
Absolutely.
you, and everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
Like the small decisions, like if I wouldn't have gotten laid off from that job in Oregon, I think about all the people I wouldn't have met. I wouldn't have gone up to Canada. I wouldn't have been stranded in a parking lot with $5 cash and no phones, or, you know, or all these wonderful places and people I've met and things I've done. So everything happens for a reason. When I was up in Wyoming, I had been there for a bit, and I was looking into buying a house.
Yeah.
And I had all this money saved up for a down payment. Well, I had my eyes on a house, and I was super close to closing. I was already selling things,
Oh my
planning
gosh.
new furniture. You know, like it was happening. I'd already done all the paperwork.
Yeah.
Well, the sellers backed out like a day before closing.
That's wild.
Yeah, and so I was devastated.
Yeah.
This house, it was an older house, but I loved it. It had a big shop, and you know, a yard for the dog. And I was like, well, it's gonna take a lot of work, but. You know,
Right.
I love it.
Yeah.
You know, things falling apart. I was like, I love it. And when they backed out, I was super upset. I was so sad. But 2 weeks later, this other property goes up for sale. And because I already had all this money saved up, I was able to buy it cash.
Oh, nice.
And I was at the townhome I was staying at, rent was super cheap. I was 4 minutes away from work. I was riding my motorcycle to and from work every day.
Nice.
And I had to pay to get out of that lease.
Oh, yeah.
And so I bought this property cash. I was like, well, I'm going to start renting it out. I own it. I have the title. I'm going to start renting it out. And if those sellers wouldn't have backed out from that house, and, you know, like, still I have that property, and, like, I'm making money off of it. You know,
Nice.
like,
That's cool.
but if that, you know, and at the time, you know, when they backed out, those sellers backed out, I was super upset.
Yeah.
Super upset. But if that wouldn't have happened,
You'd be stuck with it.
I would have been, you know, and, like... 3 weeks after I bought that property is when I got that call from my buddy, and I ended up moving.
Yeah.
I was like, well, if I would have bought that house, I would have been able to move.
Yeah.
I would have been in Texas.
That's
Who
wild.
knows if I would have ever broke out as a welder, you know?
Right.
So I really, truly believe, like, everything, no matter how bad, you know, I think about, you know, about life since I moved out, like, all the bad things that have happened and everything. I'm really glad they happened.
Yeah.
Because I have learned something from them. And all these, like, little adventures
Yeah.
have made me into who I am today.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a great way to look at it, because a lot of people get, like, these small upsets and it just ruins their life, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, mentally.
Yeah, no, we could be here forever.
Yeah.
I talked about all the times that was the end.
Right.
That, you know, my life was over, and I don't know how I'm ever gonna get back up from
Yeah.
where I was at. And
And then here you are.
and here I am, yeah. And here I am. But, you know, just, you have to just stay strong and, you know, have a goal in mind.
For sure.
Or remember, you know, find that, like, will within you. Wait, why did I try to do this? Or why, you know, what do I want to do? What do I want to be? Who do I want to be? You know? And all these little things you'll be good.
Yeah.
You'll be okay.
For sure.
I also really believe that, you know, if you're good, if you're a good person and you take care of those around you, and, you know, I'm no saint,
Yeah.
but I've never done anything to intentionally hurt someone
Right.
or affect anyone, you know. I try to help everyone around me.
Yeah.
You need a hand? Hey, you know. And, you know, I'm so thankful and super fortunate that I've had, you know, good people in my life that when I am down,
Yeah.
you know, like I've had someone, you know, pushing me and, you know, keep going, like,
Nice.
you know,
That's
so
cool. And it's super important.
yeah, do good, be good, be a good person.
Yeah.
Don't be doing people dirty out there.
Do you have any, like, skincare, hair care tips?
Ooh, I'm actually after this rodeo today, I'm gonna go get my first haircut of the year because my hair is bad. I wish. I have no idea. I may seem like girly girl and like surviving, but I'm still figuring this stuff out. Yeah. And I have no idea what I'm doing.
Well,
Take it till you make it.
Yeah, the sweat and the dirt. Like, I get breakouts and stuff sometimes. But,
yeah.
I mean, what can you do?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Yeah. What do you think is the one tool you couldn't live without?
The one tool I couldn't live without. Oh, that's a hard one. My pocket knife.
Same. Oh, that's cute.
Yeah, my knife. I carry this thing everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. And when I don't have it, when I've been on a plane or I have to fly somewhere and all I have is my carry-on and I can't have it with me, it's like I left a leg at home, and it happens to be like the days where I need it the most. I'm like,
it's awful.
Because I'll go days where I won't use it once, and then I'll be like, just the weekend before last, I was out in Phoenix, Arizona. And I think like 10 times. I was like, man, if I had my knife on me right now.
Right? Sometimes even in my sweats, like laying around the house, I reach for it. I'm like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's just always
Put
there.
a belt on over some sweats.
Yeah.
At the gym. Yeah. People are like, oh no.
I went to Chicago for a Tradeswomen Build Nations conference. And, I was just wearing it like I always do. It's on the outside of my jeans. And walking downtown streets in Chicago. And the girls were like, you should probably put that in my purse. Like, I'm not taking it off, sorry.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny.
But
no, definitely my knife.
Well, you're like very goal driven. Do you have any upcoming plans that are like big moves for you?
Yeah. I still really enjoy what I do.
Yeah.
I haven't been doing it long, but what do they say? The beginner, grand beginner, whatever, I go to a job and I'm like, and I always get so much crap for it. But that's just how I am. I'm just happy, as long as I'm happy, everything will be good. The people that are always like super negative and just another day, then your day's gonna be.
Yeah.
Your day.
You make it that way.
Yeah, your day's gonna be that way.
Yeah.
But I have some stickers out, and so I'm working on some new designs. I'm working on some shirts for women. But yeah, I still like welding wise, career wise, I love what I do.
Hell yeah.
I love what I do, and I'm the kind of person, I get bored of being in the same place with the same people, doing the same thing. So, like just yesterday or the day before yesterday, I'd been welding, pipe, and yesterday we got new prints, and so over there doing the math, trying to figure out, pup sizes and everything, and that for me, I was having a blast. It's like, this is awesome, I love it. Or going from like carbon to stainless or whatever. No, I still really, I love what I do.
Yeah.
I'm learning something new every day. So career-wise, just keep learning. Keep learning, doing more. Yeah. There's a lot I want to learn. There's a lot I don't know.
Yeah.
Fake it till you make it.
Right.
Fake it till you make it.
We will link your social media and all that stuff in the description. Yeah. Did you have anything else you want to add? Anything you want to talk about?
No, I feel like I pretty much.
Yeah.
Just
a lot of inspirational things. So like,
stay true to you and what you want to do and who you want to be.
Hell yeah.
It'll be good.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for coming.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed it, make sure you hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next one. All the links and products we mentioned today will be listed in the description. If you're a woman in a blue-collar industry and you're interested in being the focus of the next episode, or you're a small business that would like to sponsor an episode, reach out to us in the link below.